السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Allow me first to introduce the concept of this program. We are going to discuss what we call the spirit of happiness. Are you born to be happy? Are most people happy or not? Do you think you are happy? And if so, what is happiness? The main idea of this program, which is the spirit of happiness, is to introduce how to be happy in life. And actually, the main objectives, first, to introduce the concept of happiness. What is happiness? Then, what are the tools that will help a human, whether they are male, female, young or old, to reach happiness? Are there certain conditions that affect the happiness in life? All of these will be discussed in this program, which is under the title again, The Spirit of Happiness. Dr. Tariq Rashid, I am a PhD in civil engineering, and now I'm working with the United Nations in Geneva in UNITAR, which is the United Nations Institute for Training and Research, as well as I work with the University of Hamdan bin Mohammed Smart University in Dubai. And my pleasure to share with you the concept of happiness in this program. And I appreciate if you can just have a pen during this series, because we need to go through some sort of writing and questions to help you get the main concepts of happiness. Let's start. They said that we are born twice. The first birth is once we get out from pregnancy period, so we are born as a body. While we are born now, they give us an ID. In this ID, it shows my name, my nationality, my date of birth, and actually no one has a choice here because our parents choose our names. Our parents decide the nationality. However, is this the real birth? This is just the body birth. You know yourself more when you know the birth of your soul, the birth of your heart, the birth of your mind. So let me introduce the concept of the 4 stages or the 4 parts of the human. We have 4 parts. First, we have the mind, body, heart, and spirit. With all these combinations, we are born to start our journey in life. They said that life is approximately 3 stages, each one 25 years. So on the average, we live 75 years. Let's see the 3 stages. The first 25 years is where we are born in a certain family, in a certain culture, in a certain society, where we are actually affected by our parents, by our culture, by our society. Then the final stage, which is around the near death, we don't have any choices, or we have limited choices, but the actual success in life is during the middle stage, which is approximately from 25 to 60. Now, let me introduce the concept of your brain first and how our brain will be responsible later about our happiness. Once we are born, the brain is 3 stages, or what we call 3 volumes of information in our brain. The first brain that we are born with is called the primitive mind. The primitive mind, which comes from God to each baby born, we have approximately 8% of information in this brain. It's called the operating system. You know, once you buy a certain device, for example, a mobile, there is already an operating system. But then you start downloading. The same with the human brain. We start as babies with the primitive mind. What do we have in our primitive mind, which is for all born babies in the world? We have our genetics, characteristics, for example, color of the eyes, your height, and so on. These are born with you. Your talent is born with you, and 2 types of fear. What are the 2 types of fear that we are born with as babies? The first fear is fear of falling, because inside we are caught, so we don't feel that we feel that we are safe. The second type of fear is fear of noise, because we are isolated inside. Now, so 2 types of fear. Your talent is born with you, as well as your genetics and characteristics. Then the second part of the mind is what we call pattern mind. The pattern mind is programmed and downloaded first by our mothers and fathers, then by the surrounding environment, by our teachers in the school, by our friends, and also by our five senses. So our five senses, our experience in life, all the surrounding will start building some information system inside our brain. Approximately, it's called the 88% of your information is in your pattern mind. Imagine that everything you saw in your eyes since birth till now, it's recorded in the brain. Every sound you hear since birth till now is recorded in the brain. Subhanallah, it's very huge number of cells and the capacity of the brain to store all these information in the pattern mind. As I mentioned, we started our life with two types of fear. But imagine that the number of types of fears all around the world is 300 types of fear. How comes? Where do we get such types of fear? Although from God we are born with two types. Again, the surrounding environment. For example, if your mother feared dogs and pets, usually the kid will fear dogs and pets. So there are 300 types of fear that will actually prevent us from succeeding in our life. Happiness is define your fears and start facing your fears if you want to move in the city of happiness towards the heaven, inshallah. So the pattern mind is actually we need to reprogram, because these downloads actually we don't have a choice in such type of loading. Let me ask a question. Is there a baby on earth that does not trust his or her mother? I doubt. But is the mother always right? I doubt. So we are downloaded in our brain with lots of information and softwares and but do we need all of this? And is it really what we need? At the age of 25 or 30, you have to sit with yourself and rediscover who are you. And there's always a big question. Who am I? Do you know yourself? Do you really know yourself? According to statistics, 70 to 75% of people don't know actually themselves. What is yourself? How to know yourself? We will help you in this program to create your ID for journey in life in the happiness city, reaching the final destination, heaven. Hopefully, we'll all meet in heaven. So, what is the remaining part of the brain? So we started with the permissive mind, then the pattern mind, and we are left with 4%, which is called the creative mind. The creative mind that will help you get out of the box. And when they define creativity, you will find the definition of a creativity, getting out of the box. But have you asked yourself, what is the box? It's your pattern mind. Get out of it in order to think differently, in a different way. بديع السماوات والأرض. Creativity. We are born to be creative. Why we lost direction? Why we lost direction of happiness? Although each born baby is supposedly to be born to be happy, all of us needs the secret of happiness. Now, we start the life, so let me introduce the concept of your second ID. What is the real ID that you need to know, in addition to your first ID, which shows your name, your nationality, and your date of birth? Actually, in setting the ID for life, you need to know what are your skills, what is your talent that actually you are born with, and what are the values that you believe in. In the city of happiness, we have lots of population. But what is the language in the city of happiness? The language is the positive language. تفاءلوا بالخير. Always the people that are happy always feel positive. So language of positivity is what we need in the city of happiness. What is the culture in the city? It's the values. The values that we derive from our religion, from humanity. But let me also differentiate between values and ethics. What are values? Why do we need values in our life? Values are, we have to go through three main stages to define values. The values are principles. These principles you believe in. Second, they are principles, but they have a reference. If you derive your values from humanity, it's called the humanitarian values. If you derive from religion, it's called religious values. If you derive it from your culture, it's cultural values. From society, it's societal values. Even from certain professions, we have values. For example, the values in medical sector is totally different than values in managerial or engineering or accounting. And also, each organization in the world has its own values. But also, as personals and as individuals, we have our own values. Our values start from our parents. So, again, getting back to our minds, we are born and then we are downloaded with some certain values. But not necessarily you need all these values. Once you derive values from humanity and religion, we start the secret of happiness. What is the most value that comes from God to all nations, to all cultures in the world? It's justice, fairness. If we lose fairness, then we will suffer in life. The second most important value in the city of happiness is freedom. You are born free to choose. Why most people lose freedom and feel themselves like servants? So we have to look back. Justice, freedom to choose. Then we start the journey of life. So in the city of happiness, the culture is the values that believe in. But what is the third stage in the values? So just to remind you, it's principles. You derive from a reference, whether profession, whether society, humanity, religion. But the third most important issue in values, it should be reflected in your attitude and in your decision. What we saw in most organizations, in most societies, that you find well-announced values. It's written in the website, it's written in paper, but it's not reflected in attitude. Then we will lose. Sometimes you'll find transparency is a very good value, but no one understands anything. So it's just written there. Care, honesty, all of these come. We need the positive manner, attitude values that will help us move in this life in the city of happiness. So these are the population in the city of happiness. They are from two gender. They are female and males. The language is positive. The culture is the value. So what is the second step that we have to define? After defining my values, I have to discover my talent. We are born talented. Once you discover your talent and you invest in your talent, your passion is actually in your talent. Your happiness is directed towards your talent. Let me help you how to discover your talent that you are born with. According to research, we are born with 2 types of intelligences out of 9. So we have 9 types of intelligences. We are born with just 2 types of intelligences. I will just mention the 9 types, then please decide and determine how much of each type of intelligence you evaluate yourself. So if you follow with me and take a pen please and a piece of paper, then I will mention each type of intelligence. Evaluate yourself out of 20 for each type of intelligence. By the end, I will help you to discover your talent that you are born with, in which your happiness and passion is within. First type of talent that we are born with is what we call intelligence is mathematical analytical intelligence. Since childhood, those people love mathematics, symbols. They can relate causes, effects, physics, all scientific issues. How much you rate yourself out of 20 in mathematical analytical intelligence. Second type of intelligence is what we call body movement intelligence. Kids who love sports, who love to move, they cannot understand or learn without moving. It's body movement intelligence. Also, let me mention, we have 9 types of intelligences, but within each type of intelligence, we have 8 to 10 talents within this type of intelligence. And for each even talent, we have 6 to 10 professions that I can work with and I feel happiness. So body movement intelligence is the second, how much you evaluate yourself out of 20 in this type of intelligence. Intelligence number 3 is what we call environmental intelligence. By environmental intelligence, we mean people and kids who love to be outdoor. They love plants, animals, pets, birds, butterflies. They know much information about nature. They love nature. How much you evaluate yourself out of 20 and this type of intelligence, environmental intelligence. Number 4, vocal musical intelligence. Those are kids who have a very nice voice. Maybe they will be in the future Qari al-Quran, for example. They use their voice to impact and to influence people. They have lovely voice. How much you evaluate yourself in vocal musical intelligence. Number 5 is what we call linguistics or languages. People who admire learning new languages, who can easily write, who love reading since childhood. How much you evaluate yourself in this type of intelligence, which is the language intelligence. Moving towards number 6 is what we call social intelligence. Social intelligent people that can initiate relations easily with people. They can speak their minds. They find themselves in gathering with communities, with others. So this is type number 6, intelligence. Now, once we define our talents, we can easily move in the life and we can easily go in the city of happiness. So, again, the next step or the next episode, we will continue with these types of intelligence to summarize what is your talent that you are born with. Thank you for sharing in this program, and Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.